Man, I'm going to tell you, the last 24 hours have been unbearable, okay? Because it's been nothing but a slob fest over Joe Biden acting like he's going to come in and restore common decency to the country, acting like he's the Lord and Savior. He's the Messiah. He is the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's what the media is acting like when it comes to Joe Biden. And quite honestly, guys, it is sickening. It makes me sick to my stomach, okay? Because somebody like me, I have to cut through the BS, okay? And get down to the real deal, nitty gritty, and talk about the policy. Because when you start to talk about the policy, okay, the love fest all of a sudden falls apart. And we've seen Biden, his first day, enact executive orders that are killing jobs, putting our borders in danger, and virtue signaling about climate without having any real plan or action. But before we get in that, my name is Greg Foreman, and you're watching a Black Conservative Perspective. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black Conservative Perspective, aka a leftist worst nightmare. You can also follow me on Twitter at GForemanBCP. Let's get it. All right, guys. So Joe Biden unleashed a slew of executive orders on his first day in office to try to roll back a lot of President Trump's orders and policies. Again, the media applauded him for this because they think that him rolling back Trump policies are by definition restoring decency to America. But again, when you get down to nitty gritty of it, like you do with a lot of these liberal policies, it is nothing but virtue signaling and toothless action. That's all it is. So I took some notes here on the executive orders that Biden's done. What I'm going to talk about is the pandemic, immigration, and then finally climate change. And those are the main things that I'll go over. I don't disagree with everything Biden's done. However, I do want to go through and talk about, particularly what I disagree with. So just keep that in mind. My views are pretty mixed on a lot of this stuff. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the pandemic. Biden is requiring social distancing and wearing masks on all federal property and by all federal employees. He's also starting a 100 days masking challenge, urging all Americans to wear masks and state and local officials to implement public measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus. Okay, guys, this is one of those things that is nothing but toothless virtue signaling. Biden, up until this point, has campaigned on the fact that Trump has been so bad, he's been so terrible at fighting this pandemic and this virus that literally anybody could be better, and that we're going to see an immediate change under the Biden administration. And then lo and behold, the first day, guys, what does Biden do? He implements a 100-day masking challenge. Okay? And a mask mandate on all federal properties and by all federal employees. What does this do? What is revolutionary about this? Are we not already basically doing a masking challenge? Where can you go in public that doesn't require you to wear a mask? I don't know. Y'all tell me, because there's nowhere I can go in my town that doesn't require me to wear a mask. I mean, I even got to wear a mask in the gym. And they come around and they enforce it. If I take my mask down and try to get some air to keep myself from passing out from doing high rep squats, they say, no, you need to pull your mask up. Okay? So I don't know what Biden is doing here. What does this do? And guys, if you want to know how silly the Democrats are, if you want to know how silly this policy is, right? How much of a nothing burger this is a video of Biden after he signed the executive order, guys, mandating masks on federal grounds. Him on federal grounds, looking like a clown with no mask on. No mask. No mask. He's violating his own executive order. It hasn't even been a day. Only a couple hours. Look at this clown doing this photo op. Violating his own rules. But yeah, they want people to take this pandemic serious. But yet this is what they're doing. Rules for thee, but not for me. Typical Democrat. And the 100-day masking challenge. Oh, well, Biden is not doing like Trump. He's encouraging people to wear masks. He's showing leadership on the issue. Do you think that at this point, people who don't want to wear masks are gonna all of a sudden start wearing masks because Biden said wear masks? I don't think so. Right? Like, I mean, this is like one of them Weight Watchers challenges or something like that, where it's purely something that he's encouraging people to do, but with no real enforcement. Okay, and I guess when you think about it, this is kind of a good thing because he's not forcing people to do it. Obviously, I don't want him to force people to do it, but again, they're gonna hand wave and virtue signal and say, oh my God, look at all the leadership Biden's showing on this. When he made all these promises about how he has this crazy policy plan to improve upon whatever policies Trump has implemented, and the first day he comes out with this BS. But see, the media's not going to call him out on this. Again, I don't want a national mask mandate, but I'm just holding Biden up to the standards that he set for himself. And quite honestly, this is pretty weak. But also with the pandemic, Biden is also reinstating ties with the World Health Organization after the Trump administration chose to withdraw the nation's membership and funding last year. Immigration. Biden has boasted the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program that protects from deportation of immigrants brought to the United States as children, often called dreamers. The order also calls on Congress to enact legislation providing permanent status and a pathway to citizenship for those immigrants. Again, this is a part of the Democratic plan to essentially convert mass numbers of illegal aliens to residents and then to citizens so that they can get those votes for the Democrat Party. He's essentially calling on Congress to enact legislation to make this dream a reality. Another executive order revokes the Trump administration plan to exclude non-citizens from the census count. Now, back in July, President Trump had ordered the Census Bureau to produce two results for the census. One, that is the normal one that is typically used, which includes everybody in the country. And then a second one that excludes illegal immigrants. And Trump wanted to use the illegal immigrants one for the census moving forward. And that would mean that states like California and all these liberal states that, tend to house illegal immigrants would lose some representation in Congress and electoral votes because the current system we use right now counts everybody. So that means as of right now, illegal immigrants are represented in the federal government. So Biden is rolling that back. Obviously, I don't agree with that. I don't think illegal immigrants should have a say in terms of what the direction this country goes in, but that's just me. Mr. Biden has also ended the so-called Muslim ban, which blocked the travel to the United States from several predominantly Muslim and African countries. Mr. Biden has also halted construction of Mr. Trump's border wall with Mexico. The order includes an immediate termination of the national emergency declaration that allowed the Trump administration to redirect billions of dollars to the wall. So this is something that we kind of knew was coming. I did a video on this back when Trump had stopped the Biden administration from getting transition information from the Department of Defense. And the reason why is because Biden was leaking information about the border wall in terms of the cost and the money that will be saved from stopping construction. So lo and behold, on the first day, like I told you guys when I did that video, that Biden was going to halt the construction of the border wall. And I vehemently disagree with this because right now we have a caravan of migrants that are on the way to the United States solely because Joe Biden is president. Okay, and at this point, during a pandemic, these are people that claim they care about pandemic so much. Why is it that during a pandemic, you guys want to allow migrants from another country to flood into our country? Okay. And also, this border wall is already under construction. We've already have contracts with these companies. These companies provide jobs to people. Okay. And now, again, during a pandemic, you're talking about potentially making people lose jobs. Taking away jobs, killing jobs. When, again, we have a ton of migrants coming over to the United States, in which, some of them do cross the border illegally. Okay. We might want to keep that border wall up. We might want to keep building the border wall. I mean, it's already there. Might as well finish it. But see, this is about Biden's low-key open borders policy, the Democrat plan to convert illegal immigrants and Democrat voters. It is also about Biden trying to erase President Trump's legacy. Okay, that border wall represents some of the campaign promises that President Trump ran on, and his legacy as president of the United States. And stopping that construction, or at least never completing the construction of it, is going to be a slap in the face to the president. So that's what this is about. And I think this is absolutely terrible because, again, we need to have a deterrent. We cannot be encouraging people to come to our country, especially during a pandemic. And again, I care about the science here. I care about saving American lives. So you liberals should not disagree with me on this. This is not the time to be bringing in, encouraging people to come to the country. It's just not the time. We got to take care of ourselves first. But in a time like this, we all shouldn't be just cutting jobs, right? People that have jobs, you know, even though you might not agree with it, we probably shouldn't be cutting them. On the climate change here, chief among the executive orders that began to tackle the issue of climate change, Mr. Biden has signed a letter to re-enter the United States in the Paris Climate Accords, which will officially join 30 days from now. And Mr. Biden has also stopped the construction of the Keystone Pipeline, which President Obama had stopped as well. But Canada at this point is actively encouraging the Biden administration to change their mind, because Canada says that they will greatly benefit from it. So they're on board with it. However, the Biden administration, basically contends that they don't want it. Again, Biden killing more jobs. But let's talk about climate change here in the Paris Climate Accord. So this, again, guys, is kind of what I told you at the beginning. It's just virtue signaling, toothless action that means nothing. Biden is doing this to say, well, I did it. I rejoined the Paris Climate Accords. And that means that we are serious about combating climate change. Okay, and guys, I already told you, I believe in climate change. I believe it's real. I want you to believe it's a threat. However, why I disagree with the liberals on climate change is that there's not currently anything on the table that the liberals have proposed or on the world stage that is going to stop climate change, okay? And the disastrous effects that are going to come from it. Okay, there's no proposal out there, including the Paris Climate Accord, that is going to do anything. And what these liberals tend to forget about and ignore when they claim to be so science-based is the fact that one of the reasons why the Paris Climate Accord is really a nothing burger, joining it is not a big deal, leaving it is not a big deal, is because the main polluter on the planet is China. And the Paris Climate Accord is toothless. All the Paris Climate Accord says is that, hey, guys, we're all going to try to agree to get our emissions down to a net neutral point in emissions by a certain date, like 2030 or 2050 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? According to the scientists, that's not enough. And again, when liberals want to say, oh, Republicans and conservatives don't listen to the science. No, I'm listening to the science. The science is saying that even y'all liberals are not doing enough. Okay? There was a report released by the United Nations and several other research groups saying that the world isn't doing nearly enough to rein in fossil fuel production to the level that needed to halt catastrophic levels of global warming. In fact, countries around the world are poised to pump out over 120% more fossil fuels than needed to meet the Paris Climate Agreement. Again, they're not meeting it. They're not meeting it. The report said that to meet the Paris goals, countries would need to wind down fossil fuel production by 6% a year over the coming decade. 5 years since the adoption of the Paris Climate Agreement, the world is still far from meeting its climate goals. Igor Anderson, executive director of United Nations Environment Program, said in the report. And guys, again, my main problem with this is the fact that it does nothing to stop the biggest polluter, who is China. And they're not holding anybody accountable that doesn't actually follow through with their promises. If you don't meet the standards, nothing happens. So why would anybody do it? Especially if you know that the rest of the world is doing it. Even if the United States, let's say we implemented the Green New Deal, like Bernie Sanders and AOC want to do, okay? Even if we got our net emissions down to zero, as you can see here, by the facts, the U.S. is only 15%, which means that we would not put a dent in climate change. Even if we went to zero, even if we implemented the Green New Deal, it would not change nothing, okay? Because China is still 28%, and you got India at 7%, and everybody outside of basically the developed world has 21%, And those countries haven't even went through their own industrial revolutions, in which they're probably going to end up doing a lot of polluting and things of that nature. So, guys, I mean, my stance on climate change is that I don't deny the science. I'm a conservative. Like Teddy Roosevelt, I believe in conserving the environment. Okay? I think a part of conserving liberty is conserving the environment, in my opinion. I believe in climate change, but I also listen to the science. I realize that the Paris Climate Agreement is not enough, right? What would be enough is if literally the whole world, okay, decided that we're basically going to collectively pool our resources and basically literally radically transform the whole world into like some green industrial revolution that happens on a global scale that is all coordinated. It would have to be like one world type socialist, communist revolution, right? Solely focused on addressing climate change. That's what will have to happen, guys. That is what will have to happen. And I am a realist. I know there's no possible way that's going to happen. In my opinion, the best way to address climate change is to understand the effects of it, right? Don't ignore it, because I do believe it's real, but to try to basically do our best to prepare for it in a way that doesn't kill our economy. We can create industry out of not necessarily going overboard in terms of trying to stop climate change, but trying to adjust to life with changing climate over time. That's probably the best way to do it. But see, the liberals don't want that. They don't understand the pragmatic approach. They want all or nothing. Even though when you look at the data says that it has to be a truly global effort with consequences. We don't have a truly global effort with consequences. All we got is a bunch of countries that are agreeing to a toothless agreement that none of them are adhering to, especially China. I mean, guys, we've been reducing our emissions under the Trump administration. Okay? We've dropped our emissions. China's emissions have been increasing. At the end of the day, even if we went down to net zero, if we don't rein in China and the rest of the world, it doesn't mean anything. And the liberals don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about that because they know that that's impossible. Okay? So, again, these executive orders, man, from Biden, like I said, the media is not going to really get into the details of it. But, again, this to me is just not a good start for him. It's a lot of hand waving. It's a lot of virtue signaling. It's a lot of flash bangs. But to those who are really paying attention, it's really nothing but smoke and mirrors. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with any of Biden's policies here? Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.